¿Qué pedo, Puro Pinche Gol fam? Mexico just won 2-0 against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yes, that KSA acronym that you saw on the TV stands for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I didn't know that. So now you know. I Googled it for you. So you can share this piece of very relevant information with your friends, family, and those who love you and cherish you at a party, at a kegger, at a hang around, at work. Because this is what we do here. We give you information that is relevant, that will make you look as a freaking cool guy whenever you're, chatting about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and their football and whatever. But anyways, we're not here to talk or to teach you about acronyms. We're here to chat, share about what we saw of Mexico, the things that we liked, things that we didn't like, and every little factor here and there. This was the second match of the 2025 Gold Cup that is happening right now here in the United States. And overall, I think it was, I'm not going to say an easy win from Mexico because those first 45 minutes were disgusting, guys. I mean, let's not kid around. Let's not lie. They were boring as hell. I don't even know why I sat down and watched them because I guess I hate myself, or maybe I'm just a passionate football fan, whatever you want to call it, right? But I sat down and I paid attention for 45 minutes and it was boring as hell. Look, listen, if you go to Google and you go in to see like the timeline of the match and everything, nothing happened on those 45 minutes. The most important things that happened here were 2 yellow cards, one for Jesus Gallardo on the 45th plus minute, and then the other one for Ali Mashrahi from Saudi Arabia, and that's it. Nothing else happened. I don't think there were any shots on target or whatsoever. Very difficult match for Mexico in terms of like link-up plays and finding like onesie twosies here and there because Saudi Arabia decided that they only have one gun and they were gonna stick to it, which was a very low, tight-knit block, defensively speaking, which is what they did against the USMNT. It almost worked. I guess, against Mexico again. For the first 45 minutes, it did, because Mexico didn't do anything. Even though Mexico was the team with the best offensive plays, right, on the first 45 minutes of the first half, the team with the most, aggressive play style for this match. Nothing was really happening for Mexico on those 45 minutes, on the first 45 minutes. But before we start discussing what happened on the second half of the game, let's chat about the lineup, guys, because there were a bunch of, not a bunch of, like just a couple of changes here. Well, maybe it was a bunch, right? Because a couple means two, bunch it could be more than three, and I think there were like 4 changes. But let's discuss them. No changes on the goalkeeping situation. Luis Angel Malagon, you can expect him to be the Mexican goalkeeper for the rest of the matches of this year, and then of course, barring anything crazy happening with him and his level and performance, he will be the keeper for Mexico. But on the back line of 4, there were some changes there, starting with Julian Araujo playing, right? We've been asking for Julian Araujo to be part of the starting 11, and now he did it this time, which I'm so happy because I think he took advantage of the opportunity. I think he did a better job than Jorge Sanchez, but also, I'm biased towards not liking what Jorge Sanchez does. But I think Julian Araujo, all things considered, he did a very decent job. He had a great work rate when he needed to defend, and he was also, I think, a good compliment for Marcel Ruiz and El Piojo Alvarado on that flank of the pitch. You had Edson Alvarez playing as a center back this time around due to the absence of Cesar Montes, who got a yellow card on the last group stage match, which made him unavailable for this game. Then you had Johan Vasquez and Jesus Gallardo on the left back position, who, by the way, will miss the next game because of a consecutive yellow card. So I think we'll see Mateo Chavez there. Marcel Ruiz, Eric Lira, Eric Lira started this time around because Edson Alvarez is playing as a center back. But the reason why Eric Lira is there is not necessarily because of the absence of Cesar Montes. It's because Luis Chavez is also unavailable because, unfortunately for him and for Mexico, to a certain point, he got injured during training. He has a nasty knee injury, who will pretty much be out for the rest of the year, and the first half of next year. And listen, guys, unfortunate for him. I don't think he's going to be able to play the World Cup. I think clinically speaking, he will be ready to play, right? And he'll be eligible for El Vasco Aguirre, but I don't think he will be match ready then. And it's unfortunate because it isn't like Mexico has a big pool of players. I think Luis Chavez, yes, hasn't done anything outstandingly great for Mexico since that badass goal against Saudi Arabia in 2022. But I think he's a good squad player to have. It's a good rotation player to have. Again, you don't have that many players with that experience, with that additional humph, as we like to say here in the States. So it's unfortunate for him. But going back to the game, Eric Lira started as the main center pivot, and then Gilberto Mora, who, as we said, and if you saw our Liga MX weekly last season and the previous season, right? Gilberto Mora, we said it, was the youngest ever, if I'm not mistaken, to make a debut in Liga MX with a goal, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the record. And today, the other record that he just broke is being the youngest ever Mexican player to debut with Selección Mexicana. So, hey, again, kudos to Gilberto Mora, which I think he has a good ceiling. I see some great potential from this guy. Some of the plays that I saw from him, you can tell that he has a good vision of the game, good vision of the pitch. Every single time he recovered the ball or he had the advantage to make a transition, he was quick to make passes and crosses because he knows his team members are going to make those movements and choose the path lanes to move forward, right? Unfortunately for him, a lot of those passes and crosses were either intercepted or he was just a tad bit ahead of his teammates. Meaning that some of his passes and crosses were essentially long balls for his teammates, or they were slightly behind them because of that mismatch in like timing, right? That missed opportunity in timing. I think these are just small things that I believe Gilberto Mora will get better, right? As time goes by, he becomes a professional. He gets more first flight minutes. He will become better at these kind of things, and I hope to see him go into an Eredivisie side or a Belgium side or a Portuguese side or something like that. Even a Danish side will be a great stepping stone for Gilberto Mora. So it's great to see him on the pitch. And then the top front three forwards for Mexico were the same ones that we've seen throughout the entire tournament: Piojo Alvarado, Raúl Jiménez, and Alexis Vega. On the second half of the game, that's where pretty much all the action happened, with Mexico coming guns blazing on the second half, scoring on the 49th minute with a very good link-up play between Marcel Ruiz, Alexis Vega, El Lobo, Raúl Jiménez, and then finalizing the play with Alexis Vega scoring a goal. So they can come guns blazing, but after that, kind of the game got kind of settled again to the Saudi Arabia's rhythm. A very low block, very muddy in the midfield. They were pretty much fighting for every single ball, either tackling or committing fouls. And so it was a very shoddy, very interrupted game, if you ask me. Mateo Chavez came in on the 60th minute to replace Jesus Gallardo. Mateo Chavez, I think, is another good thing that we've seen for Mexico, as I've said plenty of times on my reaction videos. Santiago Giménez also came in on the 16th minute to replace Raúl Jiménez. Later on the match, on the 73rd, Charlie Rodriguez and Julián Quiñones came in to replace Gilberto Mora and Alexis Vega. And on the 81st minute, there was an own goal by Abdullah Madu on the 81st, and that pretty much sentenced the game, right? I don't think I mean, listen, even if you look, I don't know if you pay attention, but if you looked at Renard's demeanor on the bench, you could tell that the guy was like, he was already over it. Like, he knew there was very little he can do with the talent that he has. He doesn't even have the best player available for Saudi Arabia because he's playing on the Club World Cup. So I think he said, you know what, screw this, I'm done. I'll do the best that I can, which is trying to defend and then hope for a miracle. But it didn't happen. Pretty much the same ending as in the game with the USMNT, a loss. And on the 85th minute, Orbelín Pineda came in for El Piojo Alvarado. Stats wise, and this is where you, again, as I said, even though the first 45 minutes were kind of boring, and the second ones had like a very, big lapses of not great football in general. I'm going to give you some numbers and you'll see why I keep on saying that Mexico was pretty much the only team on the pitch, the only team proposing something, the only team actually doing something at all in this game, with 14 shots, 5 on target, 61% of possession, 543 passes, 87% pass accuracy, 1 yellow card, and 7 corners. Even though I thought, or at least I felt, that Saudi Arabia were making a lot of fouls, Mexico actually made more and more, with 18 fouls over 11 from Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say, guys. I mean, I do have to give credit to El Vasco Aguirre. I normally criticize him a lot, but it's just because I know what El Vasco Aguirre can do, and I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of El Vasco Aguirre in general, but I do have to say that I've seen on the most recent matches, and I've said this already, and I'm going to say it again because I think we have to give him credit where it's due. I think El Vasco Aguirre has been doing more than a decent job adapting to the situation, adapting to the opposition that he's facing. I don't know if this comes from him or from Rafa Marquez. A lot of people say it's Rafa Marquez, but whatever the case it is, right? Whatever the powers that be, or I don't know what it is, but I think he's doing a good job, and that's it. I think the fact that he's been able to morph the formations from a back of 3 with 2 midfielders and 2 front forwards, on a 5-3-2 formation, something like that, or his traditional 4-2-3-1 formation, which was what I expected. This time around, he showed up with a 4-3-3, which is, I think, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's not uncommon for El Vasco Aguirre to use a 4-3-3, but he did this time. We've seen it before, and it worked. So I gotta give him credit because he's been able to find solutions not only on making formation changes, but also finding replacements for the players that aren't available for Mexico. In this case, Cesar Montes, Luis Chavez. I think he found very solid responses and solutions in Eric Lira, Gilberto Mora, Julian Araujo, specifically talking. Now, the positives for me: 1, I think Julian Araujo took advantage of this opportunity. 2, Gilberto Mora, definitely a very strong potential for the future player for Mexico. Marcel Ruiz continues to be one of the best players of this Gold Cup for Mexico. He needs to continue to be the starting 11 midfielder. You can see that it's comfortable doing box-to-box duties, but he's also very comfortable coming from behind and being the additional set of legs for the forward players of Mexico whenever they're doing an offensive transition, to find Marcel Ruiz as an additional outlet for finishing up link-up plays, right? We saw a couple of instances where he came from behind, surprised the defenders, and unfortunately for him, one of his shots ended up hitting the crossbar. But hey, he did this against Costa Rica. He did it against Suriname, República Dominicana. Same thing with Turkey and Switzerland. So, Vasco, I command you to continue using Marcel Ruiz, because it's another positive here. And again, set pieces, man. From this match, Mexico didn't capitalize on any set pieces, but you can tell that they've been practicing set pieces. I mean, if you see the corners, almost all of them ended up in a shot, maybe not on target, but at least they were finishing up the play. They were taking advantage of it. They are looking more solid, both defensively and offensively speaking, on set pieces, which is something that historically has plagued Mexico, both on the offensive and then in the defense. So it's good to see that. Some negatives here, as I said, Luis Chavez, of course, is a sensitive loss for the team. The other negative that I can mention here right now is that I saw Mexico struggling slightly in this match, but I've seen them struggle even more with teams that park the bus. I do have to say that the players didn't get frustrated or desperate. to find a solution, but you could definitely see that it took him a minute to find the path to move forward, the path to unlock the grid that Saudi Arabia put in front of them. So I think we'll see this strategy with Honduras on the next match, which will be the semifinal, one of the two semifinals of this 2025 Gold Cup. Mexico will be facing Honduras next Wednesday, July 2nd. And let me tell you the time so you have it. They will be playing at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time of the United States, Wednesday, July 2nd. We will do a preview episode, so you will see it on our YouTube channel, and you'll see some shorts on our social media. But yeah, these are my thoughts. This is what I think. This is what I saw during the match. Thank you for making it all the way here. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, turn on the notifications, follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes. And let us know in the comments below. Do you think Marcel Ruiz is perhaps the best player that Mexico has had for this 2025 Gold Cup? What are your thoughts on Gilberto Mora debut? Do you think he did a decent job? Do you think he should definitely see more first, starting 11 time? Do you like Edson Alvarez as the second center back? Shall we keep him there? Shall we make him a permanent center back? Does Eric Lira still continue to make a case for himself and be a considered part of the starting 11 team? And is Julian Araujo taking over Jorge Sanchez? I have a bias against Jorge Sanchez, but tell me, what are your thoughts? Do you think Julian Araujo is better than Jorge Sanchez? And if you don't think so, you're wrong. I'm telling you right now. It's not an opinion, dude. It's a fact. But yeah, this is it. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, fellas.